Samurai are more than just warriors. They are true legends of Japan, embodying the spirit, culture, and philosophy of the country. Their stories are full of courage, battles, loyalty, and incredible skill. Let's dive into the world of the samurai and find out what made them so special. How did the samurai appear? In ancient times, when the central power in Japan weakened and could not control remote territories, local feudal lords began to look for defenders. They began to hire armed warriors to protect their lands from enemies and bandits. Thus, the samurai class was born. The word samurai itself comes from saburau, which means to serve. Their main mission? To serve their lord with complete devotion and protect him at any cost. Even at the cost of their own lives, in the period of the 10th to 12th centuries, the samurai became a key force in the politics and military conflicts of Japan. Gradually, they moved from the role of mercenaries to elite rulers, and by 1192, with the emergence of the first shogunate, the samurai became the core of power in the country. This was a new era, the era of shoguns and military dictatorship, where the samurai played a leading role. Code of honor, Bushido. Samurai were not only warriors, but also true bearers of ancient morality. They lived by a code of honor, which was called Bushido, or the way of the warrior. This code dictated absolute devotion to the Lord, discipline, fearlessness, and readiness for self-sacrifice. Samurai were always ready to die to fulfill their duty. If a samurai violated these principles or was disgraced, his only way out was seppuku, ritual suicide demonstrating his devotion and fortitude. Honor was more important than anything for a samurai. The principles of Bushido required him not only to be brave, but also fair, honest, and merciful. He had to protect the weak, keep his word, and fight for a just cause. These principles made the samurai not only military leaders, but also spiritual examples for the entire Japanese society. Katana, the soul of the samurai. When we talk about samurai, it is impossible not to mention their main weapon, the katana. This sword was not just a tool of battle, but an extension of the samurai himself. The katana was handcrafted with special skill. The process of its creation could take months, and the result was a blade that was both light and incredibly sharp. But for the samurai, the katana was more than a weapon. It symbolized his soul and dignity. Each samurai carried two swords, a long katana and a short wakizashi sword. These two swords together were called daisho and indicated the high status of the owner. A samurai could part with armor or wealth, but he never left his swords. However, the katana was not the only weapon of the samurai. They were also masters of bows, spears, and various types of throwing weapons, always ready for any challenge on the battlefield. Battles and eras of the shogunates, samurai were not only guards, but also participants in all the key battles of Japan. One of the most famous moments of their history was the repulse of the Mongol invasion in the 13th century. The great Khan Kublai sent a huge fleet to conquer Japan, and the samurai fought heroically for their homeland. But the victory came not only thanks to their fighting skills. An unexpected storm destroyed the Mongol fleet. The Japanese called this storm kamikaze, which means divine wind, and took it as a sign of the blessing of the gods. In the following centuries, Japan plunged into constant feudal wars. The Sengoku Jidai, or Warring States period, was a time of endless conflict between samurai clans, each seeking to seize power. This period gave the world such legendary military leaders as Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. The latter was able to unite all of Japan under his rule, becoming the first shogun of the Tokugawa dynasty, which ruled the country for over 250 years, ensuring a long period of peace and stability. The decline of the samurai age, however, all eras come to an end. In the 17th century, with the establishment of peace, the life of the samurai began to change. With the end of the wars, many of them lost their military role and began to perform administrative and judicial functions. Despite this, they still remained part of the elite, but not to the same extent as before. The true end of the samurai era came in 1868 with the Meiji Restoration. Japan embarked on a path of modernization along Western lines, and the samurai, with their ancient traditions, began to be perceived as an archaism. The government abolished the samurai class, introduced universal military service, and created a modern army. The samurai lost their privileges and monopoly on bearing arms. The last major samurai rebellion was the Satsuma Rebellion of 1877, when the samurai Seigo Takamori rebelled against the new imperial government. He gathered an army of loyal samurai, but was defeated, and this uprising marked the final point in the history of the samurai as a warrior class. The legacy of the samurai, although the era of the samurai ended, their legacy lives on. The principles of Bushido, such as honor, duty, and loyalty,